All right, everyone, welcome back. We're on week 3. We're going to talk all about curriculum today. There is a lot to talk about. This is a very heavy topic. I know lots of us are coming from different classrooms, different age groups. I'm going to try to hit as much as I can in this 30-ish minutes or so. So again, I'm going to show you some curriculums that I've worked with or that I suggest that I really like, and then you can take further dives into them. I'm just going to kind of show you where we're at. If you don't remember, I am a self-contained middle school life skills teacher. So we work on any functional living, independent living, life skills type of curriculum. So a lot of this has academics in it, but there's also maybe a life skills or a independent living component to it. So not that you won't get anything out of it if you are a resource teacher, but maybe you want to listen to some of this and take it back to your district. I'm going to give some advice for how I teach things, how long I teach things for, when to know when to stop, when to know to keep going, things like that, and kind of help you encompass everything that is curriculum. So with that being said, okay, that's interesting. Okay, we're going to look at desktop 2 here. Okay, so I am in Illinois. And so since you all are here now, fabulous. Okay, let's move that down here. All right, I am in Illinois, so I look at the DLM Essential Elements. That is what I look at when I am trying to figure out what do I teach. My students take the dynamic learning assessment, the DLM, that's where I get this from. So they take a modified state assessment for that. So I would go and look up English language arts, and I would go through to the grade level that they are at. I think I can click on these. So I would go to 6th grade and I would look at, so here is Common Core, which is what we use, but now here's the modified essential elements over here. So if you are in Illinois, this is a great resource for you. If you are not, try to figure out what your assessment is and what you need to do. Lots of you already told me that you have to do general education state standards. So again, look at your state standards. I'm on my Illinois Board of Education website. And that is your place to start. Okay, so if you want to look up math. Okay, this is pre-K, so you go to your grade level from there. Okay, so when I start at the beginning of the year, the best thing I can do is print this out. If I have multiple grade levels, I usually will highlight anything that is overlapping, or if anything, can be connected from across grade levels. So you might be working on small, big, short, tall, in kindergarten through 2nd grade. I don't know. But you got to go look through that if that's something you teach. So that's always where I start. Of course, you want to bring in the students' IEP goals into that. The things that students did previously, where they want to go. Maybe the parents really want them to be good with money management, things like that. Again, great things to consider when you are looking at all of it together. So looking at what the state standard is, modifying it the best you can for your own students, even if that means you have to break it down to the building blocks of where it's at. Let's see what I got. Planbook.com shows state standards. That's good to know. I didn't know that. Okay, so if you're using something like planbook.com, you can show the state standards that way. So that might help you out too. Okay. Okay. That's always my starting point. Okay, so either a modified state standard or Common Core, something typical that you guys use in your classroom. Okay, I think that's everybody's kind of starting point, figuring it out. Very overwhelming, very time consuming, but a great place to start. Okay, sorry, I'm just flipping back and forth. So once you have that, okay, you would go and look at what curriculum your district has. When I talked to lots of you either last week or in this past week, a lot of you use News to You or unique learning systems. So I'm not going to go in much depth of that because it seems like a very encompassing program for a self-contained classroom through all grade levels. There's many different bands in that. So if you're elementary, middle, I think there's even an intermediate, middle, high school, and transition age. And then there's also a summer program, which is really nice. So if you're looking for summer school, there's something there for you too. Okay. The next one I want to talk about is Readtopia, or Don Johnston. He's He's got Snap and Read, Co-Writer, UPAR, Quizbox, Readtopia, and First Author. So I'm going to preface this as I'm not getting paid to promote any of these curriculums, websites, anything like that. However, I will have to toot my own horn because I am on the Readtopia website. That is me in my previous classroom. So like I said, this is my little toot my own horn. I'm here. I did help Don Johnston create this program back in 2017. So I got to be a part of the pilot program and give information about that to bring it all together. So in Readtopia specifically, it's graphic novels that are modified. I think there's like Huck Finn, I'm trying to remember some of the ones in there. Yeah, Middle Ages, Renaissance, Ancient Earth, Marine Life. There's science concepts. There's, I think, yeah, again, this is my old classroom. It's too funny. Yellowstone Park, talking about history, things like that, functional life skills within that. So this, I think, is a very collective resource for science and social studies if that's something you're looking for. So they have picture assessments, they have fill in the blanks, they have larger fill in the blanks. I think there's even a multiple choice answer when I did it. There's videos that go along with it. I think that was one of the, yeah, these are like their texts when you're looking at like the text that the kid reads. So there's lots of pictures. There's a videos that go along with it. So that was Sacagawea when we did that. So chapter books look different. They might have a couple sentences. They might have, yeah. So these are all the levels. So I'm just going to let that run through for a second here. Let me see if I put my, so there's level 1, level 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So it gets more and more words, less and less pictures as the level goes up. And there's a lot of, like I said, steps in between so the students can get up to those levels. So I really liked this program when I used it. There was even a word work activity that would go along with it where we'd be working on spelling and sight words. So again, that's something you can look at. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time, but I know a lot about that because I spent a lot of time on there. So again, there's other curriculums here. There's First Author as well. I'm not as familiar with First Author, but there's videos all over the Don Johnston website that you can look at. Okay. Another curriculum that I suggest or company is Attainment. Many of you probably already have it, and they have many things in here to look at. Okay. So if you want science, I don't even know what's going to come up. Okay. So which one do I know? Science curriculum do I know? Yeah, physical science. You're looking for a physical science that's adapted, an earth science that's adapted. Health, that's a great thing. Good to know because I want to include a health curriculum this year. So, so again, you can look through these. You're looking for a math curriculum through Attainment. You might use early numeracy. That's something I've used in the classroom. It's very hands-on. It's similar to Math Equals, which we'll get into in a minute. Number Sense is another great one for math. Trying to look at what else I know here. ELSB is the one back there. That's their reading curriculum. So if you're looking for a scope and sequence, as far as, let me see if I can go to the literature one, of what you can do for the progression for early, middle, and high. I'm going to mention ELSB. We are using with our elementary district. Elementary schools in our district, we're doing ELSB older students, which I think is down here. Yeah, older students with our middle school. And then with our high school, we are using early reading skill builder. So hopefully that progression of ELSB to then older students, which is more community-based, working with peers, friends, stuff like that, where there's more stories that are for older students, that not like the duck went across the street, like there's more elaborate stories. And then ERSB, which focuses more on writing and sentence structures and things like that. So there's also Read and Tell I've used. It's very dry, I think, personally. Teacher reads the story, the student listens, or vice versa. Again, another one I've used. So some of these I saw right here, comes with a device. So if you're working on using a device with your students, Some of these are really cool to look at. And many of these you can just look up on YouTube and find the YouTube tutorial of it or what it is. So Attainment is a really good website. They come with training videos. There's actually even a transition part. I wanted to show that, where you can look at, you know, different areas of the transition level if that's your age group, or if you're trying to work up to that age group. There's a ton of resources there, which I think is amazing. So I'm just going to curious and kind of look. So there's a life skills curricula series, home cooking, smart. Yep. So this is good. Using a house or keeping a house. So this is a great resource. Like I said, there's lots in here. It's expensive. So obviously go back to your district and see if you can get a grant or some type of funding for it. If you don't know where to get grants, try to talk to your HR department. They should be able to know. Also, you can look at your your state website and where you're getting your standards from and see if there's a grant opportunity there. Okay. The next one is McGraw-Hill, very similar to Attainment. They have lots that they could provide for you. Okay, so I'm going to switch up and go ELA. Okay, ELA. Here's some options here. That wasn't the one I was looking for. I think I might have been looking for math. Yeah, I was looking for math. Okay, so Number World is another one that I've used for math and connecting math concepts. I think they are very elaborate and have a lot of detail into it. I will say the biggest thing that I've taken away from many curriculums from a company is they're not as comprehensive as I'd like them to be. So if we work on Number Worlds, it's very much number based. There's no geometry. There's no other parts of the student's repertoire of skills that they should have. So just be careful when you look into something like Number Worlds, just for example. You know, you go in, okay, the manipulatives is a lot of time. Looks like maybe colors might be in it, but you don't get patterns. You don't get 3D shapes. You don't get other parts of this. So like I said, do some research. If you see something of interest when I'm showing it here, yeah, and that's where I'm going to leave that. Okay. Next one that everybody always knows is Math Equals. It's very expensive, as you can see, but it's also very elaborate. There's lots in it, and it covers a lot of parts, and it breaks it down into 3 different levels for students at the really early stages of engaging with numbers and engaging with everything. And then there's also like the middle where they try to fade out a little bit. And then the, I think level 3 is where they totally pull back as much as they can. Again, there's training videos to talk about it. Here, I was going to show you, here's an assessment kit in there, which is a great piece. I know not everything comes with an assessment. You can do online activities. I actually have the curriculum here at my house because I wanted to look at it more this summer, but this is all of the materials that come with the kit, and it is a lot. I had to get an extra like cabinet to put things in because you have a spinner, you have a yardstick, you have everything in here, a balance beam, numbers, shapes, cubes, everything is in there that you need. Like I said, it just becomes overwhelming as a teacher to look at all of that at one time. But it does have a lot of pieces in it. There's lessons, there's theme posters, student workbooks, work mats, and numbers and charts and things. So again, that's why I brought this home. There's a lot of pieces to it. There's a lot that you could do with it, but I feel when people get equals math, it is very overwhelming. And a lot of teachers will just stop and not look at what they actually need to do with it. But it's a great resource if that's something that your students are working on, the basic foundational skills for math. I just wanted to mention that. Okay, so I think those are the main ones I wanted to go through before I move from true curriculum. Is there any questions that I can answer for you? Yeah, use Unique, use Attainment, Read and Tell for your middle school program. That's awesome. I mean, that's exactly what it's here for. So I'm glad that some of these are being familiar to people who are here. Okay. We all know that curriculum, I'm going to keep checking the chat. So if you want to keep typing, go ahead. I I know some curriculum is not very encompassing of everything that you need. So yes, we do need to supplement curriculum in some ways where we can provide other opportunities for our students to reach higher levels. And like I said, some of the curriculums have missing pieces. So I'm just going to suggest Epic is a great read aloud books, or students are reading. Families can read it at home. There's lots of variety in text. And then similar to that is also Learning A to Z, Reading A to Z. Raz Kids is also a part of this. Yeah, here's all of them. Okay. Science A to Z, there's even science in here. I didn't know that because we've only really used the reading or the Raz Kids. But kiddos love Epic. Yeah, Epic is awesome. There's a ton of variety. And I think when I get to the middle school level and the students are still on Learning A to Z, it's very difficult for them to find new things of interest because they've read all of the texts. So that's why going on to Epic was another great resource for me. I've also used Myon, M-Y-O-N. It's very similar to that, very kid-friendly, easy to navigate. There's a variety of resources and books. So if you're looking for something to enrich your library of reading materials, those three would be my biggest suggestions for reading resources. It doesn't teach phonics, it doesn't teach spelling, things like that, but your student is reading along with the story or they're reading it themselves, and I really like it. Okay, so those are those two. Okay. Okay, for math. All right, we still got some time. Math, I have two suggestions for that I've really liked, and that is MobyMax. Let's check my Epic. Storia, that's not one I've heard. I have not used Storia. Storia. Education.com. Education.com is great too, right? Good phonics skills there. Willing to share what they use for their history or social studies curriculum. So yeah, if you use a history or social studies curriculum, go ahead and put that in the chat because we want to see. Do the math. Ooh, and eSpark. Those are good ones too. Good to know, right? So do the math and eSpark were the last two suggestions if you're looking for more. So MobyMax, and then everybody knows IXL. IXL breaks down the state standards for you. You can look at the different skills that are assessed. I think this is very encompassing. Like you said, it comes to 12th grade. Even if my students are working on kindergarten or first grade material, I think it's still very age appropriate and it does what it can with what it's got. So like I said, I just wanted to share that. As far as social studies curriculum, I don't have a social studies curriculum I use specifically, but like I said, Readtopia, I felt like had a really good, it's not this one. Readtopia was the one that I thought had a lot of social studies science-y concepts in it that they want to try to encompass everything into it. So I would say look into that. Like I said, you get Ancient Earth. I know Unique does every other month with a social studies topic. Again, I'm not really pleased with that, but it's what I got so far. And then writing curriculum was the last thing. I know Learning Without Tears is something that I've heard people use in the past. I have not specifically used it myself, but you can look at early learning, handwriting, keyboarding, writing, early literacy. So if I just went into writing, you can download samples, talks about why it works. Again, I'm sure there's a YouTube video about a tutorial of how to do it. This seems a little high for my students if I was doing writing. But there's building writers there where there's little workbooks, it looks like. So, and you can get creative too. I know I have a lot of students with communication devices, so I might help build a sentence on their device, and we use that as writing. Of creating their thoughts and being able to get their thoughts out into words. That's my, like I said, creative way to embed writing into our program. I've even done it where a lot of my students were learning their devices and I would put up a picture on the board and they'd have to find a describing word for it or an action word or something to describe, talk about, reflect on, things like that. So if you have any other writing suggestions, feel free. Cursive. I didn't realize cursive is still happening. Taught handwriting using this for cursive for 3rd grade. Well, that's good to know. good to know. Like I said, I have not personally used it, but yeah, use unique, save it, and then expand it on the topics each year. So yeah, county provides unique and work with other teachers to see what they have. Yeah, so I know a lot of people do science one month and social studies the next month when they're using unique, or they try to save it from year to year and reuse. And you can do whatever works for you. I know I had talked about when we did scheduling and planning that you don't, unless you're being told by your district, again, follow that, but you don't have to do that subject every single day, right? I do science once a week. I do social studies once a week. I do writing once a week. And that's what we get to, and that's what we do. And then you try to embed it through everything else. So we might do writing in math when we write down our problems, or we're going to do a social studies topic while we're doing reading class. And you try to get flexible is probably the best way to describe it, while you are doing your curriculum and doing your day in and day out with everything else that you guys are always already doing. And I know you are already doing. Cool. Awesome. No problem. Okay. I'm going to wrap it up here. I think that's all that I had. Trying to think. Oh, the other thing I wanted to talk about, I can stop sharing my screen. Okay. The other thing I wanted to talk about was that when I am picking what I teach when, I really look at, math is the easiest one for me to explain. Really look at what's going on in the school year. So at the beginning of the year, you have to obviously build the foundation and start your students somewhere where they're at, right? So you have to test them, find their level where they're currently at, and try to build up from there. So that's always the first couple months of school. And then I look at like November, they're probably going to get ready for the Thanksgiving break or some time off with family. Maybe they're cooking, maybe they're baking. So we might be doing measurement tools for math around that same time, right before the break, leading up to that. We might do money and budgeting around the holidays in December, thinking they might buy for friends or for their family, somebody at home. So we work on the money skills around that time. So how I spiral my curriculum is I don't just teach that unit for 2 weeks and then I move on. I bring that back again second semester. So I really only plan for maybe a semester and a half, because I'm trying to focus on multiple things at one time and then bring it again throughout the school year. So that's always what's really helped me is, okay, I build up the foundation. I try to keep going on it. Maybe we'll do telling time when January rolls around. Okay, February, we got Valentine's Day. What else is going on then? Okay, maybe I'll do skip counting or addition or something like that, where I can bring in, once I have like skip counting in addition to talk about, we can, oh, well, no, you're doing telling time, you count by fives. So then maybe that's a good way to bring in skip counting, counting by fives, counting by tens, figuring all that out. So again, you're going to look at your state standards, figure out what's available, what you need to do, and what you need to be assessing. I know fractions is another part of middle school that I have to teach. It's very hard to do. That's why I use it in measurement tools, or trying to half a recipe or double a recipe, something like that might be how I bring in fractions. Okay. What do you use to evaluate the student's skills level at the beginning of the school year? I don't have something that is quick, unfortunately. Sorry. I use the AFLS, the Assessment of Functional Living Skills. There's also the ABLES, which is another version of it. AFLS is what is the bigger version of that. And then I've also created a life skills assessment for myself that I feel like encompasses more than what the AFLS does. The AFLS is great. I also have a blog post about ABA assessments. I think there's 4 or 5 assessments that one of my guest bloggers did that I can send out and make sure that that's linked too. That can help you get started somewhere. Okay. Anything else? I think I covered pretty much everybody's questions. CNN Kids is a good quick news show. Yes, thank you, Ashley. That was a great suggestion. Okay. CNN 10, CNN Kids, good for current events, but just make sure you watch it. If it's CNN 10, watch it beforehand, because sometimes there's like wars and bombings and things like that. If you don't want that but I don't know about the CNN Kids. I think that's more a little censored. So it's another great resource. I know also in Unique, there is a News to You current events spot. So if you're looking for current events, things like that, that's how I bring in my social studies as well. Thank you. I forgot about that. Okay. With that being said, I think I'm going to stop recording. All right. Thank you all for coming.